Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thanks a lot, Jess. Thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh, give us a call tonight, and the phone lines are right there, 412-575-2600. Chris Mueller's over at the 93.7 The Fan Cam. And look, we're going to start with the Buccos. It's frustrating to be a Pirates fan right now. I mean, I'd rather them have lost that first game and won these next two games. I mean, it's a disaster. No matter who you throw out there in the bullpen, and I'm going to blame the bullpen. Maybe the Pirates didn't get as many hits as they should have yesterday, just that one grand slam. But today, this is a game that they should have won. I think it's two wasted performances. People are looking forward to watching these two guys pitch, and then they put on a display like that.
You scored 5 runs yesterday. You scored 6 runs today. We know what their record was coming into this series when they scored 4 or more runs. You expect to win both of those games. You certainly expect to hold a 5-run lead yesterday and a 4-run lead, 2 separate 4-run leads in this game, Richie. Of course, it's the bullpen's fault. Would you like me to dive right into some Elias Sports Bureau history here?
Let's do it. I know you're the guy for stats.
History?
That's why you're on this show. Give it to me.
All right, here we go, Richie. I got my stat-cracking fingers here. Here we go. Since 1900, only 4 times in 124 years of baseball and counting has a team hit back-to-back grand slams in consecutive games, like so grand slam in one game, grand slam in the next game, and lost both games. It's happened in 1983 to Cleveland, in 2003 to Milwaukee, in 2021 to Minnesota, and now to the Pirates. But wait, there's less. This is the first time since 1900, and let's just go out on a limb and say probably the first time in baseball history that a team has hit grand slams in consecutive games while getting a quality start, defined as at least 6 innings and no more than 3 earned runs from their pitcher in each game, and lost. So the Pirates today made the wrong kind of history. I blame the bullpen. I blame specifically the pitchers. At some point, there has to be like an onus on them to just do their jobs. But I think Derek Shelton badly mismanaged this bullpen. He decided that David Bednar was unavailable yesterday because he had pitched in 3 of 4 days, but then he put him out there for what amounted to a pretty meaningless inning to hold a deficit today. He didn't trust Jose Hernandez to finish out an inning, so Stratton had to come in and then go back, sit down, and come in again. I thought it was very inconsistent bullpen usage and kind of scattershot by Shelton. And Richie, I'm not a guy that believes, I know we discussed this yesterday, that a baseball manager necessarily has a huge impact on many wins and losses, like a direct impact, but I think having a feel for your bullpen, a feel for the people in it, a certain level of earned trust in some of those pitchers is a big part of being a good manager, and Shelton displayed none of that these last 2 games.
You know, let me ask you this. Why do some of these guys, if you're only pitching an inning, why do they need breaks so often? That's what I want to know. I mean, usually you're going to get that break when you have a 4-run lead, right? Or a 5-run lead. But you should have definitely used Bednar yesterday.
I would have rolled the dice on using Bednar yesterday, but even if you're not going to use him, come up with a different way to use your relievers. Just come up with a different way to structure around it. Or if you weren't going to use Bednar today, let me ask you this, Richie. Let's throw this as a hypothetical. Is it against the law? Is it verboten to use Bednar earlier than the 9th inning today to try to just protect the lead earlier than the 9th? They didn't do that. They just... I don't know, Derek Shelton just showed no feel for the situation. I know that Ben Cherington put him at a disadvantage with the way they decided to structure the roster, and they bring up Bay, and instead of sending down Tellez, they don't have enough pitchers. They're shorthanded in their bullpen, but it was just a comedy of errors. It's really a failure from general manager on down here. Aroldis Chapman, really bad again. Hunter Stratton, looked good, and then suddenly it went all to pot for him. I just didn't like anything about it, and it's one of the most demoralizing losses, maybe the most demoralizing loss of the season for them.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, we're taking phone calls, and we're jam-packed right now, all Pirates fans. 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC Tweet of the Night from my main man, Malsey, over there. Per Live Sports today marked just the fourth time since 1900 that a team lost back-to-back games in which they hit a grand slam. He just mentioned it all. It was disastrous for the Pirates. You know, what I want to know is what's going on behind closed doors. What are they going to do to fix this? Obviously, the bullpen is a major problem right now. You call up Jose Hernandez. How much is that going to do for you? You really can't make any trades yet. Do you just kind of ride it out and hope that things get better? I mean, they sent Jack Swincy down to the minors, hoping that he might break out of his streak. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know what you do right now. You can't let your starters go longer, right? I mean, there's pitch counts on all these guys.
No, I understand. I understand they're being careful, especially with Skeens more than any single person there. And Jones, I mean, both those guys had pitch counts running up in the 90s. Like, reasonable persons could say it was time to pull them. It wasn't like Skeens was striking out every other batter like he did against Chicago. I mean, they were putting the ball in play. So I don't have a problem there. You know, you'd love to have a guy like Roansy Contreras, even if he's a little bit wild, right? A live arm that you could maybe toss in for a couple of pitches there or a couple of batters there if you felt like you needed to. The pitcher's got to get better in that bullpen. I don't know if all of them are capable of it. Bednar still should be better. You hope Chapman figures it back out again. Holderman's their best reliever. And you ask what's it like behind closed doors, Richie. I know we got a lot of people waiting on the line, so I don't want to belabor the point too much. I think you finally heard an angry and frustrated Derek Shelton today, a guy who has tried to play good cop since he got here, basically, and now he's finally trying on the bad cop hat for size. He might want to go to that a little bit more because this team really needs a kick in the pants right now. They actually have a real opportunity to make some noise if they can get their act together, and that's why these were two damaging losses.
How about something like Quinn Priester as a long reliever instead of sending him down? Maybe they did that with Stephen Brault when he couldn't make it as a starter. A guy that can give you a couple innings in the middle there.
That was supposed to be Contreras, though. Like, I still think they want to believe that Priester can be good, and I don't know. I don't think any of these problems that they've had in the bullpen the last two games, Richie, strike me as long reliever problems. They have guys get them through 6. They've got to get the last 9 outs, and that's been a mess. Even in a, more with a long reliever, a guy who can eat 3 or 4 innings, you wouldn't call upon that player in this kind of situation. It's their high leverage guys that are failing them and failing them with alarming regularity.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We got Kirk out in Manor. How you doing, Kirk?
Good evening, guys. Hey, one quick question. Cannot start your bullpen. Find out what your deficit is going to be. Put your live arms into the game. Know what they have to come back from. Thanks, guys.
He was breaking up, but did he say start with like Bednar as like an opener and these guys?
I think he was suggesting an opener.
Yeah.
I think he was saying get all of your bad pitchers out of the way, Richie, early in the game. Get the deficit that you know you're going to have to surmount, and then bring your starter in, I guess, in the 4th inning and let them go the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th? No, I'm going to have to unfortunately nix that idea, as tempting as it is, because playing from behind 5-0, you don't really win many baseball games. Sorry, Kirk. You know what, though? When your bullpen's this bad, it inspires outside-the-box thinking from people like Kirk and Manor, even if it's really misguided outside-the-box thinking.
I like thinking outside the box, and maybe if you do bring him, I know we don't see this unless you have a bad pitching staff, but if you bring in a guy, like he said, for 1 inning or 2 innings, 2 guys, and you set them up, and then you could see if your starter can go. But usually the first time through a batting order is, potentially could be good for the pitcher. Let's go out to more of the phone lines. We got Dale out in Highland Park. How you doing, Dale?
Hello, Richard and
Christopher.
It's always good to listen to you guys. Yeah. I was thinking, why don't we just we got good starting pitching this year. Why don't we just keep Skeens, especially Skeens and the other 2 pitchers, Keller and Garrett Jones? Why don't we just keep them in there beyond 6 innings?
Yeah, I wish we could. Dale, I know we talked about this. We just talked about it recently. I mean, there's a pitch count on all these guys, especially the 2 young guys, Jones and Skeens. They don't want to push these guys over 90 to 100 pitches. That's it. They'll shut them down at that point, even if they're pitching a no-hitter like Skeens did his last start.
I guess I want to make sure I convey this clearly. You can look around baseball. Even pitchers who are established, who've built up their arms, who've proven pretty durable over the course of multiple seasons, there just aren't many guys in Major League Baseball at the starting pitcher level. My goodness, sorry about that. There aren't many starters in the league unless they're the elite ones who are routinely allowed to go past 100 pitches now, Richie. Part of that is just because that's the way teams work, but also teams now assemble fireballing, wipeout stuff having bullpens because the expectation is if my starter gives me 6 innings and keeps it under 3 runs and my team has the lead, they're probably going to win because my bullpen should be able to get them over the finish line. It's just, I continue to go back to this was supposed to be the strength of this team coming into the year. It has been their biggest Achilles heel, and it's the biggest reason that instead of being, 28 and 23, they're 23 and 28.
You brought up Justin Verlander yesterday as a good example of guys pacing themselves and pitchers that, could have went the distance at some point. All right, let's go out to Jimmy in Mount Washington. How you doing, Jimmy?
What's up, guys? My good friends call me Jimbo.
Jimbo, okay.
Hey, Paul Skeens, do you think we're going to keep him, or are we going to sell our good pitchers like we did with McLeod? I mean, Bob doing nothing, Bob do nothing, Bob don't pay our players no money.
Hey, all right, good. That's a good question. I think you're going to...
Did he invoke the name of Nate McLouth
He
there?
did. I don't think he was talking about Nate McLouth. I mean, maybe he meant Garrett Cole or Joe Musgrove or whoever you want to talk to that fits in this mold. But
they're going to keep Paul Skeens for at least 5 full seasons. And then in the 6th season, depending on what the team looks like, he and Jared Jones might be up for sale. If the team is still competitive, they might just try to make one run at it. But they're going to be here for bare minimum, I would think, the next half decade. You
don't think there's any chance of either one of those guys, doing a Mitch Keller and maybe signing a long-term deal?
No. I think that the Pirates would have to break with precedent and probably sign one of those guys for whatever the industry projection is, plus another $20 million on top of that. And I've seen nothing from the Pirates yet to make me think that in one of these team control type of deals where both sides assume some risk, that they would go way over maybe what league projections for that player would be.
I think there's a better chance of it happening with Jared Jones than Paul Skeens. I mean, Paul Skeens is going to be a A1 type pitcher. He's Cole.
Jared Jones might still be. Jones might be an A1 type pitcher, which is why it's so frustrating that you have F- bullpen guys right now.
I know, right? Jim Peters, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying about the bullpen, but here's my take on the bullpen. Basically, the reason why I think Bednar was bad because he had the flu. He didn't pitch much in the preseason. He looks like he's getting back. Chapman's back.
Chapman's not back. No. Chapman can't.
He blew the game yesterday.
Chapman can't throw a strike.
I mean, the bullpen's bad right now. They just got to try to get back into rhythm. I think everyone's bad.
Hold on. Was he also saying the flu? The flu knocked David Bednar out?
No, that was Majinski and Holderman. Didn't they both have the flu?
Yes, Bednar had the lat issue. I mean, you could argue. Bednar, by the way, if not having a real spring training was his problem, he would be fully back by now. We're well into the season enough where that shouldn't be an issue for him. Chapman is by no means back. Aroldis Chapman looks like he can't find the strike zone from batter to batter. You could watch him go into a game, throw 2 ridiculous-looking strikes and be up 0-2 and have no reasonable degree of confidence that he's going to wipe out that guy with a 3rd strike called or swinging. In fact, he seems to get in those 0-2 situations, and then he gets cute or just completely loses his release point. He has been a $10.5 million bust for them out of that bullpen. He has been nothing but a can of gasoline for a couple of weeks now. All
right, Chuck out in Uniontown. What's up, Chuck?
Yeah. Hi, fellas.
Hey.
This current Pirate tailspin is particularly disturbing because, after we took 3 out of 4 in Wrigley Field, we were at the great point to seize the moment and to really move up. And what's particularly disturbing about all of this is that if we fancy ourselves as a contender or a postseason team, we have a sub-500 record at home and a sub-500 record overall. And a marginal team like this, fellas, a marginal team has to win the games that they have to win. We can't be giving away games like this. We've got given away.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants are an average team. They could have beat this team.
Well, the Pirates are a below-average team, and Chuck's right. If you fancy yourself a good baseball team, good baseball teams generally protect their home turf, like Chuck was saying, and they win the games against teams that are as good or worse than they are. They especially beat up on bad teams. The Pirates haven't done that this year. They had put this in perspective quickly, because I hear where Chuck's coming from. You take 3 of 4, then you have your off day. You rally and beat the Giants in very stirring fashion. People feel like it's a transformative, season-defining game to that point. Yeah. You're about to throw Jones and Skeens back-to-back. Oh, my goodness, could be a sweep and some real momentum. To fall flat like this, I think, is incredibly deflating and demoralizing.
And now you have Atlanta. Peter, out in Mount Lebo. How you doing, Peter?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
I went to the game today. Obviously, a real disappointment. I want to say that I think people are focusing too much on Shelton when they're putting the blame on why this team, stinks. I think the real issue is Ben Cherington. All right, we're in year 5 of the rebuild. The rebuild is over. Like, we've sold the whole entire old core. The old core is gone. And what have we gotten from it? I mean, we have one real pitcher hit in Jared Jones. I mean, Paul Skeens, who was a first overall pick. And what else do we have?
Not much. Henry Davis, he was going to mention. Nick Gonzalez. I mean, what's your assessment of Ben Cherington, and how much longer does he have?
If they don't win 80-plus games this year, I think he should be fired. I don't think there's a single inaccuracy in what the caller just said. He laid it out pretty clearly. His trades to strip down what he inherited and try to get prospects have been extremely underwhelming. He's displayed no real touch in finding free agents. I think he should be on a very hot seat.